Well, good afternoon, folks. I thought I would just drop in for a little bit. Um, I think I figured out a better setup using my phone as my camera or as a webcam. And I thought we'd do a little bit of stitching together and answer any of your questions and whatever comes along for, oh, let's see, what time is it? 12:30, maybe till about 1:30, 2 o'clock at the latest. So, for those of you who have found me already, and that's wonderful, thanks for joining. Allie, Allie, you have my heart. Thank you so very much. Hi, Daphne. I can't thank you enough, Allie. That I had that app on my phone, and it wasn't every time I went to use it, it was so blurry and so fuzzy. And it's like, what the world? This worked at first, and now it's not working. I don't know what's the matter. So that's why I thought, well, I'll just get a camera. Well, all I had to do was pay $10. So you saved me a whole bunch of money. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I cannot, uh, uh, I can't thank you enough. But you know that. So thanks. Well, let's see who else is jumping in here. Heather, hello. Daphne, hello. Joan, thanks for joining. Let's see. Joanne, just look to see what was new. I'm catching you live. Yeah, finally you get to catch me live. That's wonderful. We're so glad. So glad. Stitching, even though I usually stay in the background. Hey, you know what? Whatever works, my dear, whatever works. That's what you do. There's no, I'm messing around with my stuff here. Um, there's no requirement. If you want to just listen, that's wonderful. If you want to participate, that's wonderful. And you know, it's all whatever you guys want to do. I'm just open for anything. Oh, you know what, Allie? And when I used it before, when it was the trial version, I didn't even realize that you could do all those adjustments. Where really, this, for those of you who do live streaming and you want to use your phone, this is the app to use because you can adjust it just like a camera. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's called IV Cam. Are you frozen? Am I frozen? Okay, guys. My oh, my light keeps getting funny. Um, I don't think I'm frozen. If I am, somebody please tell me so that we could maybe start over or something. So I'm going to switch my screen to the one where I will stitch with you, and I'll do a little, I'll do a little bit of stitching. How's that? So let's see what this screen looks like. There we go. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Does that just not make your day? It made mine. Oh, I need to. Oh, we're frozen there? Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Do I, why am I frozen? Hmm. Okay. How about, can you hear me? And just my picture is frozen? Because everything looks fine on my end. But let me, hold on. checking. Let me look at me on my channel. Okay. It looks like there's a bit of a low. No, I am frozen. Holy but jeepers. Not frozen there. Grace, you're okay. It's back? Okay. I'm not stitching at the moment. I'm learning to knit. Allie, that's awesome. That is awesome. Okay. I think there's a bit of a lag from what. Okay, let me mute my. Okay, there is a bit of a lag, at least on my, from what I can see. Okay, let me just fix my my width of my, so you can see the chat. Okay. All right, let's see. All right. There we go. Okay. Now you should be able to see that. Oh, oh. Fooey, fooey, fooey. Okay, just gotta adjust things a little bit here, folks. Bear with me. This is why I do these impromptu lives, so that you guys get lucky enough to put up with my not so technical skills. Yeah, have you all fooled, or you think I'm not as good as you think I am. This is a little bit of behind the scenes of what goes on um, when I'm trying to get ready for these. Hi, Teresa. So, Allie, what are you knitting? I just did socks for my grandkids. And now I have a shawl started, so I do that in the evenings sometimes when my eyes say we can't stitch anymore. We have had enough. And then we have trouble threading a needle today. Oh, Grace, your first time catching me live. I'm doing great. Oh, you're just in for a treat. Oh, my technical difficulties. I always have some. I don't know. The people that come here regular will tell you I always have some kind of technical difficulties, probably every time I do a live. It's just a given. It always happens. And now I guess you're asking, Karen, what are you doing? I thought you were parking. I thought you were parking and stitching your rows vertically. Yeah, mm-hmm. You thought correct, but once again, you guys all know. I'm sure you all know. I know you all know. I am a fickle pickle, and every other day I change my mind. Every other day I change my mind, and some days it's like, yep, that's exactly what works. That's what I need to do. And some days I pick up my stitching and go, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I ain't feeling the love. And here's, yeah, park threads drive me bonkers. You're absolutely right. They do. They absolutely do. And here was the issue. I did do a whole diagonal, like you, a whole one of vertical stitches. And I didn't see a line. So, okay, was that enough to truly test it? Probably not. But here's the trouble that was truly driving me even more insane than stitching my rows horizontally. And that was the fact that, let me move my, here, I'll go this way. Down in here, see all this? Confetti hell, okay? Just pure confetti-ness. So what I ended up, because you're stitching vertically, so instead of your threads hanging down like this and being able to easily part them to find the place where you have to park, my threads were over like this because I was stitching vertically, stitching my rows this way. So all my threads and all these colors were way over here. And to get in and find where you had to park, pardon my French, was a PIA. And I could only take so much of that before I said, I am done with this. Hi, Patricia. I said, I'm done. I can't do it. I just can't. So I went back to working my threads in, which is what I'm doing now. I have most of everything worked in. I just have these couple at the top to do yet. And going back to, I'm not going to do a whole, I'm not going to travel far cross country. What I'm probably going to do is stick, well, here I will stagger over this block, but I will probably stick to a 3x3 block area. Hi, Yvonne. Um, yeah, so that would be 3, 6, 9, 9 blocks or 9 squares, and then move to the next 9 squares. Now, whether I go down, across, or I think probably what I'll do is just kind of follow how colors are going and do it that way, because it's oh, too frustrating. You folks that can have all these threads hanging down, you have my utmost admiration to be able to do that, because it just doesn't it just doesn't work for me. I no, no, I can't. No. I mean, I wish I could, because I think, you know what it is, when you park and you have your thread right there when you need it, and you can move on rather quickly. Yeah, I think it's a great way. But I don't know, it just I guess it's because I always was a cross-country stitcher, always and forevermore. Um, that's how I first started stitching many, many a long year ago. And up until I did full coverage, it's how I always stitched. And in all honesty, until I started stitching full coverage and started following some of the Facebook groups, I didn't even know what parking was. So don't let anybody fool you. I am not the where all know all. Um, I had no idea what parking was. I had to look up all kinds of videos to see what parking was and to learn how to do it. Okay, that made sense. I think when I first was trying to figure out how to do it, I went to the Scarlet Quince website and I did something wrong here. Hold the phone. I see what I did wrong. Okay, the frog shall come to visit. I went to the Scarlet Quince website and looked at their explanation. Um, and that's how I figured it out. Hi, Cindy. How are you this morning? How's the weather in Arizona? Finally cooled off here in Pennsylvania. Grace, what I will do is if I have thread left, so if I complete that 3 by 3 or 9 block area and I have thread left, I will just continue in whatever direction that color seems to be going and follow the color into the next area. I won't end it off. I'll try and use up what I have if I can. Now, if there isn't any in the areas around, then yeah, then I will end it and put it back on my thing. Let's see. Arizona's good, hot, but we're up in the high. Oh, well, good that you're up in the higher elevations where it's cooler. Oh, we just finally here in Pennsylvania got a break from all the heat and humidity. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. It was terrible. And my husband has COPD, so there was just even no way he could go. He could be outside because he just couldn't breathe because it was that hot and that humid and just plain nasty. But now today, well, yesterday, what's today? What is today? Sunday. Oh my God, I'm so confused. Um, Saturday it was cooler. Well, Friday it started getting cooler. Saturday it was definitely cooler. Today it's gorgeous. Well, hi Laura. You're in England. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, Grace, you are more than welcome. Just ask away. I will try and answer for you whatever whatever I can. Yeah, well, and it will if you're words, Karen, words. If this is your first full coverage, Grace, it's going to take you a little bit, just a heads up, but it's going to take you a little bit to find the method that you will enjoy. Now, there are many roads to the same end when you're stitching full coverage. There are many ways to stitch full coverage. You can stitch extreme cross country, and that's taking a color and doing it, completing that color through the entire piece. That's an option, and some people love that method. I did on my Stitchers retreat try it for a little bit and then went, no. My fear was, what if I miscount and make a mistake? And then because of that miscount, I have counted off of that for whatever given area, and then the whole thing is messed up. So that I kind of went, I don't think I'm gonna like that way. Although it was nice, it was very nice having just one color and just working with that one color. And even if you took it, even if you took it somewhere to stitch, like to a retreat, or you were going away for any afternoon or whatever, and you wanted to take stitching with you, it was great because you could just take your project and you could take one color. So that was awesome. However, that kind of scared me a little. So you can stitch that way. You can stitch by columns. And that's just going 10 stitches wide and stitching down the column. You can complete 10 by 10 blocks. And you can do them down the column. You can do them diagonally. You can stitch on the diagonal row by row, which is what I have videos on way back when I first started making videos. Guys, do you believe that's going on 5 years ago? I didn't even realize that till I looked back for something and looked at the date on the video and went, oh my God, I've been doing this way longer than I thought, but that's okay. So there are many ways, but my whole point to that is, don't be afraid to switch the method on the piece you're working on. You do not have to start a new project to try a new method. You can do them all on the same piece. Now, this piece is going to be another prime example of that, just like my Stitchers retreat was. And any of you that have been following me for any length of time, and back in those beginning days when my Stitch With Me's were on Stitchers retreat, because I really was on a push to finish that because I wanted it hanging on my wall so bad. That has many different methods of stitching. And the only way you can tell is to switch it or turn it over and look at the back. That's the absolute only way you can tell. The front looks the same no matter what. The front looks just like this, okay? Let's move it over a little bit, okay? Just like here. This here, I stitched down the columns. In here, I started on the diagonal row by row. Down in here, I stitched on the diagonal with my rows going vertically. Up here, I just stitched across the top by color. And now I'm just working in these colors wherever it takes me. So really, do you see any difference in the method? And I'm I'm zoomed in pretty close here, which is, I don't see a difference. I, it's not, I am questioning this blue right here, and I do have to double check to make sure that blue is right. It just looks a little out of place. So I will have to look at the mock-up and see, is that blue really the right color? My arm, Cindy, is holding up wonderful. I go to physical therapy tomorrow yet, and I think that will be the last one. Um, actually, I'm hoping that will be the last one. But okay, if I go back like this, like reach back, I forget myself. I still have discomfort then, but I can stitch without any discomfort. I can reach for things without any discomfort. I can bear weight on it without any. So yeah, I'm a happy little camper. Because let me tell you, that was nasty. That was very, very nasty, and it. Yeah, when the day I did that, it hurt like there was no tomorrow. Oh my God. I thought I had seriously damaged something, but all is well. Um, yeah, I think tomorrow will be my, well, let's put it this way. I'm going to make tomorrow be my last physical therapy. Yeah, yeah, I know the exercises to do. I will continue to do them at home. Um, and I think all will be fine. And there's that part of me that says, you know what? No more picking up the cat. You are absolutely right, Cindy. No more picking up the cat. I don't pick up the cat anymore. I make my husband do it. If the cat hollers to get a drink, no, I have not, Anne. I have not talked about my hashtag on Instagram. Thank you for the reminder. Laura, you love close up live stitch with me. First one I've caught. Wonderful, wonderful. And I've already thanked her, but this is thanks to Ali Juno, who gave me the what's and wherefores about this app that I actually am using my phone. And I actually am not going to buy a camera anymore because, in all honesty, I think, and this is just my opinion, I think this picture that you're seeing on the live now is every bit as good as any camera would give me. Every bit. So, yeah. So you know what? I'm using my phone. I'm using this app. And I just saved myself probably close to $700 or $800 by doing this. Okay, and no, I have not talked about the hashtag on Instagram yet, so I will I will put it in the drop down box. Those of you that watched a couple videos back, I would have to look what number it is. I don't quite remember. I gave everybody a free chart, and there was a link um, in the Dropbox of that video that people got a free chart. And the free chart is people that have been here a while. If you're new, you'll get to hear it more often. But what I tell everybody at the end of every video is the only rules in cross stitch are the ones you set for yourself, which is kind of the theme of this channel. So I charted that and I gave it to any subscriber. There's a link, and I'll put it in this drop down box. There is a link to get the chart. So people that want to stitch that, and that just does my heart good that people actually wanted to stitch it. We made a hashtag on Instagram. Oh, I forget what I'm stitching here. Let's see. Hold on. Gotta find my place here. 2, 3, 4. La 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 la. I think it's this one. Okay. All right. Um, for people that are stitching it, or for anyone that is a subscriber to this channel, I made a hashtag on Instagram. It's called hashtag NeedleBugg Stitchers. So anyone that would like to can post progress pictures with that hashtag so that everybody can see them. If you're stitching the free chart, post it there, put that hashtag to it so we can all see what you do with it. Or anything that you are stitching, post it there. Post progress pics of your full coverage or just anything. So feel free to use the hashtag and post some pictures under that. I think I have not posted anything under it recently because I really don't have a lot of progress on this piece at this given moment because I was too busy fussing around with getting and what have you. But yes, feel free to use it. It is there for anybody who wants to post anything and use that hashtag. It's we'd love to see what you're working on. It's a place where, you know, all of our channel members can, whether they be VIP members or whether you be subscribers, doesn't matter. Everyone is free to use it. No problem whatsoever. So that's the hashtag there. Now, you will take notice that I am actually getting some stitching done this time. That not a miracle? Usually I end up talking more than stitching. And someone asked me, and I missed it. I missed it. It was up further on the chat. And I apologize for missing that. Somebody asked me, okay, Grace, how far do I take my thread when doing cross country? Um, it really depends. If, like right now, this is the first color in an area. And here you'll see that I did jump from here over to here. So that was about 8 stitches. And I'm going to do another jump of about 7 or 8. So when I am at a place where it's over because I'm running out of screen here. When I'm at a place like this where I know wait a second here. Hold on, I goofed. Must have goofed. Um, I know that those long jumps are going to get covered over. I will jump further because I'm going to stitch over that end. If I'm at a spot where I'm actually going to let this thread, I had to charge my Samsung tablet that has pattern keeper on it because I had it turned on. No, I had the screen turned on. And when I went to get it to stitch for this impromptu live, my tablet was out of battery. So I had to charge it. So that's what it's doing now. I had to charge it. So I got my iPad out, and I also have this in markup RXP, except I don't have everything marked off that I had stitched. So I was just trying to generally locate where stitches were so that I could at least stitch a little bit on a Stitch With Me while I tested out this app and how wonderful, or this phone app works with my phone. Um, yeah, I can't use my Samsung tablet because it's not charged. And when I started, it wasn't charged enough to be able to turn it on. So that's why I'm a little fumbly here. So once again, the saga of technical issues. You guys know there is always something. Well, hello, Leanne. I'm glad you caught me live also. And LG, I hope I said that right. If not, you can let me know. Uh, Thanks for joining. I'm glad you caught me live too. Like I said, it was just a spur of the moment, impromptu. Uh, let's come on and check things out. And actually, it's been a little bit since I did a live because I was doing all this messing around with the computer and cameras and yeah, the whole saga. But that's a saga we will just say we're done with that. We're over it. So we're just gonna fill in stitches or work in these threads today so that we can go back to some semblance of not having marked threads. So are there a lot of you that prefer not to park as opposed to parking? And if you don't do parking, how do you, what is your method? Because I'm just curious what method everybody else, other people use. You know, I was watching Brenda Handwork Maniac last night, and she was explaining her methods, and she does parking and she works down a 10 stitch wide column. And I think she goes think she goes block by block. That was the impression I got. So she'll color complete within the 10 by 10. I think that could possibly be a troll, and I did just ignore it, and they did not comment again. So yeah, will go back and block that person after this live is over. I can go in and, well, maybe I can block them right now. I do believe it to be a troll. So, yeah, every now and again, you get people that come into your live stream or even on your videos that are not the nicest people in the world. And my comment to them is you need to get a life rather than harass other people. Oh, I lost my place there for a second. Now here's the next thing. I need to mark off things as I go. Let's see. Joan, you never park. You do cross country, but not extreme. Yes. Hi, Nicole. How are you today? Um, yeah, I think, and Julia, hello. How are you? Um, yeah, Pattern Keeper has, that's the thing. That is the thing. Before Pattern Keeper, I was using Goodreader on my iPad, okay? Which I was perfectly happy with. Perfectly happy. Gonna run out of space here. I soon either just have to end this thread. But anyway, um, I was using Goodreader, and I was perfectly quite all right with that. And I was stitching on the diagonal. And I think a lot of you already know that story. My friend, my gal that I stitch with here, um, she had watched Brian split stitch, and she stitches the way he does on the diagonal. Well, having that little competitive edge that I tend to have sometimes, it's like you I have myself totally confused here. This doesn't belong here. I said you can't do something that I can't do. So if you're going to stitch that way, I have to stitch that way because you can't do it that I can't do it. So I tried to stitch. I tried the way Brian does. Hi, Martina. Um, and at that time, that just made no sense to me at all. I could not wrap my head around it to save my soul. So that's when I changed it to stitching horizontal rows as opposed to vertical rows. And that's when I first started doing YouTube videos on diagonal stitching. And I still can't believe that's over 4 years ago. But anyway, I said, no, you can't, can't do it. Or I can, if you can do it, I have to be able to do it because you can't do something that I can't. And I was using Goodreader and I was perfectly happy stitching that way. And I even went so far as to say, you know what? If I'm going to stitch a heaven and earth design, this is the only way I'm going to stitch it. I'm going to stitch it on the diagonal. I'm going to park. I'm going to yada, 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 yada. Well, along came Pattern Keeper. And once I realized with Pattern Keeper, although it worked perfectly fine to stitch on the diagonal, but it searched out all your stitches of the same color, and you could stitch one color in an area, whatever that area may be. I was no longer happy with stitching and parking. It just was like, well, why am I doing this when there's those stitches right there? I want to stitch them. I don't want to wait till I come back to in the next column. I don't want to wait. I want to stitch them now. They're right there. They're right there, right before my very eyes. Why can't I do that? So that was the start of my being what I call a fickle pickle, and my being antsy, and stopped. I try to go back to parking. I try to go back to the diagonal. I try to do it all because I see others doing it, and it's like, oh, yeah, maybe I really want to do that. No, I don't. I want to do exactly what I'm doing right now. So that's my story. I'm sticking to that. It's all Pattern Keeper's fault. If it wouldn't be for Pattern Keeper, I would have probably never wanted to go back to this. Now, I'm just going to stick this thread up here out of the way because I really am running up against the edge of my. I will end that off later or save it to continue parking. Yeah, LG, I agree with you. Some pieces are that complicated that you just got to restrict the area that you are working in, or yeah, you get too confused. And Pattern Keeper, when it first came out, you you bought it once and done for, I can't remember what the price was, but it wasn't much. Now you have to, if you buy into it now, you pay an annual fee. So those of us that got it way back once upon a time, my understanding is we were grandfathered in and we don't have to pay that annual fee. Um, However, I think that's how it's working. I know I should really check that before I give you misinformation. I do know that markup RXP, if you purchase that for a one-time fee when it first came out, you are grandfathered in and don't have to pay for it anymore. If you download it now, it is an annual subscription. And maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Maybe Pattern Keeper is still a one-time deal. And I can't, my tablet's charging, so I can't even check it for you because that's the only Android device I have. Um, and Pattern Keeper is strictly Android. If you are iPad user, oh, okay, it's still a one-time payment for Pattern Keeper. Okay, good, good. I tend to get them mixed up sometimes because I use them both for different things. Uh, If if markup would put all your pages together like Pattern Keeper does and have it be one big chart, I would probably tend to lean towards markup because I like the statistics that it gives. However, I stick with Pattern Keeper for my heaven and earth because it is all one big chart. But I will use markup for things, and I don't often stitch them, and I really only did it once as a demonstration. If you have a paper pattern and you want to put that in to an electronic chart thing, markup does that easier than Pattern Keeper does. As long as you can either take a picture or you can scan it, and as long as it's flat, it doesn't have wrinkles in it or bends in it or curling edges, it will go into markup very, very easily, and it will put a graph right on top of it, and you can use that to stitch. I have not actually used a chart that way. And I did it once to demonstrate it, but that is really the extent of my experience. Oh, Allie. Well, have a great Sunday afternoon, and hopefully catch you next time. And once again, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for absolutely everything. Yeah, you just don't know how much I appreciate that. Oh, you probably do, but I have to tell you once again. So thank you for all of that. Um, yeah, so and markup, I will also put my long dog samplers in. And the reason I will put them in markup as opposed to Pattern Keeper is because markup will show the back stitching, where Pattern Keeper does not. So to get the back stitching for a long dog, you have to go back to the original PDF to be able to see that. Where in markup, it shows the back stitching. Oh, Leanne, good point too. Yeah, 4 different methods. Yeah, I get you. I hear you. And you know what? I also think that more often than not, the piece that you are stitching, the design that you are stitching, will tell you what method it wants to be stitched. You know, some things are more easily stitched cross country. Some things, when you get into the confetti jungle, maybe it's better to stitch row by row, stitch by stitch, and park until you're through that area. You know, and just do it for a period of time and then go back to another preferred method. But I think your chart tells you what it wants. Again, that's just my opinion. And again, you can use multiple methods on the same chart. There is nothing that says you can't. You don't have to start, you know, and I read that so often on Facebook where people say, oh, I'm going to try this method on the next piece that I start. Or I'm going to start a piece so that I can use method Z. And and that's all fine. You can. There's nothing wrong with that. However, you don't have to. You can do them all. You can try whatever you want on the piece that you're working on. You don't have to switch. Like I said, my stitchers retreat is full of different methods, and the only way I could tell was to flip it over. And that's where I could see what method was used where. Because each method gives your back a different look. We'll see the back of this messy. Here we go. Are you ready? Are you ready? Look at this. Look at that. One messy, messy hunk of junk. So here you can see I was pretty much sticking with the columns, and I would stitch a color down as far as it could go. And I did that also here. And you can't see it real well. Up here, I stitched by color across the top, and here by color. And this, my friend, was my rat's nest of stitching vertical rows and having to work with my part threads this direction. This vertical rows was also making my back really, really thick and bumpy. And that was the other reason I said, no, I don't think so. I don't know. No. I mean, I think you can see how bad. And I'm not all about neat backs. I am not one that says, oh, your back has to be perfect and your back has to match your front. No, my philosophy on that is just like everything else. It is your piece. It is absolutely your piece. And you do whatever makes you happy and whatever you're satisfied with. So, for all intents and purposes, there's nothing wrong with this. This is perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong. For me, and again, it's what I expect of myself. For me, this is too thick. But again, there is nothing wrong with it. And if stitching your rows vertically and parking to the, well, it depends on what corner that you started in, but parking in the direction that you are moving, and you get a lot of thickness, but that's the thing that makes you happy and that's what you prefer to stitch, and your back gets like this, there is nothing wrong with that, because the bottom line is you are stitching a method that makes you happy. You are enjoying what you're doing. That's all that counts. That is all that counts. I can just say, for me, I was not happy with this. I'm happier when it's like this. So I get a back like that when I stitch like this. it's all it's all what you want. It's all about your philosophy on stitching the reason you stitch, what makes you happy when you stitch. Does it always make somebody happy to do two stitches, end a thread, go down here and do six stitches and end a thread, and then start a thread over here and do two stitches and end a thread? Probably not. Does it make you happier to do two or three stitches here, carry your thread down to here, do those stitches, carry your thread over here, do those stitches? If that's what makes you happier, then do it. There's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. In fact, have any of you watched, I can't remember what, hello, Elizabeth, how are you? I can't remember what country she's from, but do any of you watch Komari? Komari, Komari. She's stitching one of, I want to say it's Once Upon a Fairy Tale, one of Amy Stewart's bookshelves. I want to say it's Once Upon a Fairy Tale. I love to watch her stitch. Absolutely love it. And she stitches, at this point, what she's basically, it looks to me like what she's doing is she's taking a section that is 2 or 3 columns wide by several down, and she's completing that whole area. And when she starts a thread, she brings her needle up. She lets a long tail, well, not long, but she lets a tail on the back. And I think she holds it with her one hand so that it doesn't pull all the way through. But that tail just hangs there, and she stitches, and eventually it gets caught in under her stitching. And when she ends a thread, she does the same thing. Puts her needle to the back, she leaves a tail and cuts it off. Starts the next thread by leaving a tail, stitch, stitch, stitch with that color, ends it by just leaving a tail. And eventually those tails get worked in or get covered over. And that's her style, and that's what makes her happy. And so be that. So, it's all, you have to put it in your own perspective. Elizabeth, I think you're right. When I was stitching diagonally line by line, yes, I think my stitching was as smooth on the back as it was on the front. Absolutely. I agree with you 100% there. My only trouble is all that bark threads I can't do. All that bark threads, I just can't do it. I just I and the well, I don't know. I wanted to experiment. In fact, I did try and experiment with uh, stitching on the diagonal, arcing, but leaving your needle threaded. Gemma Stitches leaves her needles threaded, and I ended up with such a mess. Just a mess of needles. It was in this big knot. I couldn't undo it. Yeah. You're absolutely right, Elizabeth. I do. I love watching her. It's mesmerizing watching Kamari. It is totally mesmerizing. And you're right. She doesn't keep her fabric drum tight either. It's loose. You can, well, this is a little loose too. I don't have it as tight as I normally do, but you can see it's not, hers is much looser than this, uh, which is okay too. I mean, there's not a rule that says you have to have your fabric drum tight. It's if you can make, if you are making your stitches and it's satisfactory to you, there's nothing wrong with that. And yeah, and she breaks all the rules. But does she really? When there are no rules? Does she really break all the rules? She breaks the standard. What is considered to be the standard. You're absolutely right. I'm just funning with you. But yeah, I think she's just I truly I do enjoy watching her because it's mesmerizing. I like watching Gemma stitches too. I like to watch the way that she stitches on the diagonal, but um just never closing a stitch in, but she completes colors as long as she's not closing something else in. So, it's all goes back to everybody will eventually find their own way of what is going to work for them and what is going to be the most comfortable for them and the most enjoyable and the most relaxing and stitch what you love the way you love. Maybe I need to use that as a new phrase. Hmm. Stitch what you love. I have to think about that. That might be another chart. No, I'm not going to be a designer. No, don't even go there. I do have software to design, but I do enjoy just doing little things every once in a while. And I eventually wanted to chart pictures of my grandkids. Well, hi, Jamie. Glad I caught you. Also, leave your needles on, but you wax your threads. Helps them not to tangle. Okay, let me ask you this because my experience when I waxed my threads was I ended up with a residue on my floss. Hi, Celia. Um, I was waxing on Stitcher's Retreat, and I could see a definite mark line area of where I had waxed threads and where I had not waxed. There was a definite difference in what the thread looked like. And that kind of put me off to waxing thread. So I'm just wondering what your experience has been. I know that it does help you can help control your thread a little bit more. I understand that. I just chose not to use it anymore. And actually having a damp having a damp sponge I found was just as effective as the wax. So I'm just curious what you think, Jamie. Just curious. So if I'm having trouble, with the thread getting fuzzy or knotting a lot, I'll just dampen it or run it over a damp sponge and yeah, and do it that way. Oh, it's your first time using wax. Um, I have to look closer at my Stitcher's Retreat. I don't, when you wash your project, the wax washes off. Just being a devil's advocate. I'm not saying that it does or it doesn't. Just being a devil's advocate. Wax is not water soluble. So my question is, how would it wash off? Damp sponge, Elizabeth, you actually you dampen it, but then you let it dry before you stitch with it. And it only takes a few seconds for it to dry, but it does make the thread a little more manageable. I'm shaking my table. Do you see it? No, 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 no. Yeah, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I am wrong, Jamie. I really hope that I am. Um, Now, I do know that when you coat with wax, it should be a very light hand of running the thread through the wax. And after you run it through the wax, you should also then run it through your fingers to pull any excess off. But like I said, I'm just being devil's advocate and thinking, well, if wax isn't water soluble, how does it wash off? Sometimes I overthink things. And this is probably one of them. This is probably one of them. Yes, the water helps lay the fibers down. You're right, Pat. Absolutely. It helps lay the fibers and then they don't want to twist. Jen, you use Thread Magic, okay? And you've seen no residue. Yeah, and there's all kinds of, I mean, there are those products out there that were meant to help. And some people use, what was, not Thread Magic, what was the other one that they discontinued in the little blue, light blue box, square light blue box? Thread Heaven. People used Thread Heaven, and they also said that didn't leave a residue. But after that was discontinued, where they stopped making it, some people were using was it silicone earplugs that they would run their thread over the silicone earplug. I couldn't quite figure that one out. And I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying. um, yeah, I'm not sure, Jamie. I'm not sure. You thought wax for Jamie thought wax for stitching was water soluble. However, those okay, you know the wax that you buy that's in the little shapes in the designs, and oh, you could buy them from Heaven and Earth. You can buy them on 123 Stitch, and they're all beeswax. I'm pretty sure. So it isn't a wax that's getting the earwax. I'm gonna switch my scenes here because I kind of think I'm probably not going to stitch anymore, and I probably can't stay on a whole lot. Here we go, a whole lot longer, um, but a little bit, yeah. I have to look. Let's look. Let's go to 123 Stitch and look up wax. Wax seals for embossing. Well, that's Sears Singer Professional Series Thread Conditioner Wax. It's 100% beeswax. So help me out. Beeswax. Regular wax dissolves with oils and alcohol. Can't speak for thread conditioning. Let's look up thread conditioning. That doesn't, let's look it up here. This is how we learn stuff. I'm on here and then I look things up. Oh, here, look, go on YouTube, folks. There's a DIY tutorial for how to make your own thread conditioner. Then there's one, thread magic versus beeswax, testing which is best. Oh, there's another one of those too. Helps prevent fraying, but all kinds of things for how to use it. When you get these, depending on the kind of thread conditioner you choose and how much of it, it can leave a residue on your thread. That's why you shouldn't use wax that clings a lot. If it attracts too much dirt or dust and clings to it, the stitches could look grayish and not as vibrant anymore. If you want to make your own beeswax conditioner, test blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I didn't see anything about washing out yet. Given that you only need a very small amount, it's perfect if you have it already at hand and don't need to buy some. You can cut off bottom of beeswax candles. So this is all how to make it. A lot of work to make it. By ready-made waxers. Yeah. Well, it gives me all kinds of information on how to make it, how to use it, but it doesn't give me any information on whether it washes out. But maybe we'll have to do a test of that. I don't know that I have any anymore. I think I might have gotten rid of it all, but because I really don't use it. I just run my thread through a damp sponge and it dries really quickly, and I stitch with it that way, and that controls the little fibers and it doesn't tend to twist or knot as much. And you know what? Like I said, Jamie, absolutely. Whatever makes happy is what you do. Absolutely. I'm just being a little devil's advocate here. Like I said, sometimes I overthink things, and that's probably one of the things that I overthink. What does it do? What does it do? Because, I mean, seriously, honestly, how many of these pieces are going to actually, well, I don't know. If it's an heirloom piece, yeah, then then I would be really like when I did my the birth samplers for my grandchildren. Those I wanted to be heirloom pieces. So those I was very careful about what I used to stitch and very careful about having it framed, that it was all, going to be something that was going to stand the test of time, so to speak. Because I would love to, I'll never know it. They could put them in the trash for all I'm going to know. Um, but I'd love to think that they're going to keep them and pass them in the family. Um, I will never know that, but that's my thought that maybe that will happen. So, I wanted to do everything so that I could preserve as best the longevity of that piece. But when you think about it, how many pieces are going to end up to be heirlooms down the road? The other side to that is, take some of the reproduction samplers, which, yes, I was one that did. I put the name of the original stitcher on it. And I didn't always put my name. Now, you think about how many people today have tentatively stitched that sampler. Okay. How many people didn't sign it with their name? And in 100 years, if it's someone who doesn't know things about textile, are they going to think that was the original sampler? Are they going to know that that was reproduced or a reproduction of the original sample? How are they going to know? People will have to. My light keeps being funny here. Keep getting dark and light and dark and light. People would have to know what textiles were used back in, say, the 1800s, opposed to textiles that are used today, as then opposed to textiles that are being used in the future in order to date things. I mean, it's just like dating quilts. You know, people that understand and know about textiles can tell a quilt that was made way back when versus a quilt that was made today. And the same thing is going to happen with, say, samplers or anything else that we stitch today. But then there's so many, well, and there was then too, um, a lot of samplers came from young girls that, oh, bye, Martina. Sorry to see you go, but have a great afternoon. And yeah, watch tomorrow. We'll catch you then. Have a good afternoon. Thanks for stopping by. But many samplers came out of schools. And there was, which is why there's some similarity between certain samples, because it was a teacher that probably gave each girl that sampler, and she made it her own in some fashion and put her name on it. So, people in the future are going to need to know something about textiles to be able to determine, okay, was this really the Hannah Sanders sampler, or was this Hannah Sanders sampler that was reproduced by someone else? And it's all knowing what products were available then versus what products are available now or in the future. I mean, that may be some of the only way we're going to tell. And I mean, you think of some of the patterns out there, how many gazillion people stitched a pattern, you know? So there are certain things I stitch with the hope that it will be an heirloom and maybe someday be collectible for whatever reason. But as a general rule of thumb, I just stitch what I enjoy the way I enjoy and let it be what it may. Because, in all honesty, I don't know that my daughter wants all these things that are hanging in my house. You guys see my video of my walls, and there's a lot of samplers and a lot of needlework on my walls. Just my main living room alone has about 40 pieces. So, oh, Lily's mama, I'm so glad you're here, but I'm so sorry you have a sick child. I hope they're better soon. But I know my daughter's not going to want all of those pieces. I mean, what's she gonna do with them? She's not into needlework, so why? You want them. You know what I told her to do? I told her to contact my friends, and first of all, if she wants to keep any pieces, she is to keep what she wants. And after that, she can if she wants to contact my friends, or I have a very, very good friend who comes to stitch with me on a regular basis. And I said, just contact her and she can take care of contacting people that I stitched with or friends of mine or whatever, and allow them to pick something that they want. And then whatever else is left, she can donate somewhere or do whatever she wants with. Yes, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. It is important to label your pieces of a name and a year or initials or and a year, or some people, and I wish I could come up with something. Some people have a little logo of their initial and that's what they put on. I tried to do I tried to take my K and B and make like a butterfly out of it. I haven't used it, but I was playing around with that. Oh, you're right. 23-year-old daughter will always be your baby. My daughter just turned 39, and I still see her as my baby. She will always be my baby. You just downloaded your Haid Project Mini Wizard. Oh, just waiting for threaded material. Should be interesting. Good for you. Good for you. Listen, I just started this one. I just started this Autumn Church by Dominic Davidson. And okay, the stitch count is, are you ready for this, ladies and gentlemen? The stitch count is 700 by 425. I put it in Stitch Pal. And at the rate I am stitching, it won't be finished till 2027. 2027. 5 years. So that means I have to live to at least be 76 or 77 in order to finish it. Now, we all hope that that is the case. So I'm sure it will be the case because I don't plan on it anytime soon. Besides that, who's going to keep you guys entertained? Yeah. So yeah, you had to delete it. It was too depressing. Yeah. Oh, when I think about that, I just have to laugh because yeah, I'm gonna be at least 76 before before it's finished. And then see, then my head gets a little funny because I have already outlived my parents by several years. And next year I will have already outlived my grandparents. So, it's you shouldn't worry about it, but and I don't worry about it. It is what it is, and whatever happens, happens. And it just thoughts go through your head. Okay, okay. The end of that tunnel is getting closer all the time, all the time. So you better stitch faster if you want to get this piece done. Oh, Lily's mom, let me remember. It's Kate. Is it Kate, your name? I think I'm right. I think it's only 24 colors. Oh, that's a good first one. That is a good first one. I have to live till you're 76 or 77. Okay. How old will that make me when you're 76? Yeah, Jamie, they take a long time. Stitcher's Retreat, and that's the one that you see in my earlier videos, um, took me 5 years, 5 years to do. And that one is not quite as big as this one. Yeah, this one is just a tad bigger than Stitcher's Retreat was. Stitcher's Retreat was 468,000 stitches. And this one is 346,000. Oh, so Stitcher's Retreat was bigger. This one's 346,500 stitches. 33 more years. Oh my goodness, 33 years. I will be 104. Do you think I'm going to make it? Oh my goodness. We shall see. Like I said, it is what it is. You never know. You never know. Here today, on tomorrow, but you know what? You make the best of every day and you have fun doing it. So, so. Well, guys, I know some of you have just dropped in and I hate to disappoint you all, but it works for you. You guys are a hoot. You guys are a hoot. No wonder I love you all. You're the best. Um, I hate to disappoint those of you who are just dropping by, but I'm gonna have to go. We have some other things for this afternoon, and this was really just a test of my camera. Um, You're right, Elizabeth. I'm not going to give up. Absolutely not. I'm going to keep stitching. And yeah, if I get it finished, I get it finished. If I don't, I don't. But the whole bottom line is I had fun doing it. So isn't that all that matters? You had fun doing it. So I really have some other things for this afternoon. Um, so like I said, this was really just to test out uh, the software that Allie, as you know, not software, the app that Allie turned me on to so that my phone would work as a camera. I'm going to show you latecomers. Oh, you're not really latecomers. I'm going to show you how awesomely wonderful it looks. Look at that. Look at that. It's better than the best thing since sliced bread. I'm so happy. It saved me a lot of money. Saved me a lot of money because I was looking for a camera because I was not happy with the picture I was getting. And this is uh, just perfect, just perfect. So that was really my motivation to come on here to see what everybody else thought and to test how it looked on the stream. So with that, my dear, dear friend, I think I'm going to have to say goodbye. And I will catch you next time. Now that I got things straightened out with the camera, and do a little bit more of stitching with me. Oh, and somebody had a wonderful suggestion before I forget about it. Because it does, doesn't it, Elizabeth? It looks so much better. Because usually when I do a live, I get carried away and sidetracked with talking with all of you that I don't necessarily show as much stitching. And a lot of you are coming to see the stitching. So what I'm thinking about trying is, and let me know in the comments what you think of this. What I'm thinking about trying is to pre-record the stitching part. You know, maybe pre-record an hour or two worth of stitching so that you have that to watch. And if you have questions on what I'm doing, we can answer them during the live. And I can spend the time reading your comments and chatting. And you still have the stitching to see. So let me know what you think of that idea. I thought it was a pretty grand idea because that way I have stitching and you're actually here to see stitching, and yet we can still chat and have questions answered and do all that kind of good stuff. So let me know what you think of that. And we'll give that a shot probably next week sometime. Okay? So with that, my friends, I am going to say goodbye. I'm going to say thank you for stopping by, and I will catch you all next time. And remember, don't forget, the only rules cross stitch are the ones you set for yourself. See you next time. Bye-bye.